Yo, what's going on? It's Rodney G. I'm glad y'all with me. I want to share a quick story I saw in the news today. What's going on in California? The reason for this, you see that there are people who love to argue about politics and who've been infected with the liberal, progressive, left paradigm, or whatever it's supposed to be called, yet are really indifferent to the realities. They argue based on sentiment, based on feelings. And what's really sad, a lot of people argue and they're just really uninformed. That always blows my mind when they don't know the details. They don't know the current events. They don't really know what's going on, but it's really more just like playing team sports, my team versus your team. And the reality is a lot more serious than that. And I noticed this a lot. And I noticed that when you really, back people into a corner about the things they argue on behalf of coming from a place of their feelings, when you really get to the brass tacks, as they say, when you really get to the actual outcomes of certain actions that people claim they want or certain attitudes, then they want to play indifferent and be like, oh, well, it really doesn't matter. I don't really care, blah, blah, blah. So here's the story about a law that got passed in California and the results that it's having on the people in that area. So I want to share this with you. Listen to this.
Designed to stop police from giving tickets for loitering is now
I'm
having
sorry.
serious
Let's
unintended.
make sure we get it
National
from the
City's
beginning.
mayor says a bill designed to stop police from giving tickets for loitering is now having serious unintended consequences.
Senate Bill 357 was passed in September. It decriminalizes loitering with the intent to sell sex. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes has more tonight from National City.
I'm here at National City Hall where Mayor Sotelo Solis and other leaders I talked to say that stopping police from writing tickets for loitering is emboldening sex workers.
But even driving home myself, when I see, a scantily clad, literally pasties and a thong woman out there, I can only imagine that, what that person is feeling.
National City Mayor Alejandro Sotelo Solis says SB 357, the bill that repealed anti-loitering laws in California, will not officially go into effect next year, but
because it's already signed, the law enforcement is already hands tied, but it's also the boldness in the summertime of these human trafficked and the Johns, they're taking advantage of it from 10
Hold
in the
on.
morning.
I got to pause right quick. You see how that lady tried to project out to some ambiguous, unknown, force that's causing this thing to happen? These human traffic, just call them what they are. They're freaking prostitutes, right? I mean, I don't know why she didn't want to say that. Just like they call the homeless people unhoused, as if the natural state of a human is to be housed, right? As if living in houses didn't take a long period of civilization and evolution in society to get to the point where we live in what we call houses as opposed to huts, teepees, caves, being nomads, Bedouins, or whatever, right? You're unhoused. If we lived in mud huts, right, in the Serengeti somewhere, then nobody would have to be homeless because you could just take more mud and make a hut. But we don't live in that. We live in a highly sophisticated, techno civilization. Now, I'm not for people being homeless, but the way they try to project out as if there's some force that would bestow these things on people, and it's the mean, evil capitalist that's getting in the way. Same thing with these 304s, these professional 304s. I don't mean no disrespect to the casual 304s as opposed to these professionals, right? The commercial 304s, saying that they're human trafficked as though there's some ambiguous force in the universe, right? Some pimp Thanos out there making this happen upon these commercial 304s, as if it wasn't for that pimp Thanos in the universe, they would be somewhere doing something normal. I don't know why they passed this law, and then now they passed the law, and these are the results. But I just want to point out how they love to project out to these unknown forces.
Morning till the lunchtime hour to right when work gets out.
Cop right there.
And it's frustrating. It's not so much, hey, we can't do anything. It's, well, what are we supposed to do? And so people are getting more bold.
The track, everyone knows, is Roosevelt Avenue all the way over to Maine, over there, and that's what they do.
They know.
You have the Navy base, you have all the semis parked on Roosevelt.
We talked to businesses and people who live in National City, and while they didn't want to speak on camera, everyone we spoke with says prostitution is a problem in the area. One business owner says he even leaves pamphlets, hand sanitizer, and masks out to try and help encourage the workers to pursue other paths. Peter Crivillo's family has run.
Bruh, what is a mask and hand sanitizer going to do for a commercial 304? I mean, we saw the images. You see how hard in the paint they're going. What does this guy? I mean, hey man, bless his heart. He's at least trying, I think. But mask and hand sanitizer, yeah, you gonna need some other type of sanitizer for this situation.
Napoleon's Pizza in National City for 5 generations.
The biggest problem that I see is tying the police officers' hands of what they can do. Just not prostitution. It's drugs. It's everything else that goes with it. So I'm sick of seeing it.
Peter says this could really disrupt the economic growth that National City is finally seeing.
You can put as much paint on the building as you want, but if you're not changing what's going out on the street, then new businesses are not coming in.
Mayor Sotelo Solis says that she has sent a letter to Governor Newsom asking him to either repeal or amend SB 357. She says right now she's the only mayor that she knows of that sent this letter, but she knows that this is a problem that's affecting the entire county and the state of California. Reporting for CBS 8, I'm Kirsten Holmes.
You hear that?
National City.
Now, they asked Gavin Newsom to repeal or amend this law because the politics, the choices he made, and whoever he's trying to appease, the cause of his actions, what is the effect? You have down in this area in southern California where they trying to turn it into Memphis. That's a joke. No disrespect to Memphis. But, and yeah, they go hard in the paint out there in California. I've seen it. Matter of fact, it's only 2 places in America I've ever seen commercial 304s going that hard. It was Southern California and Memphis going as hard as you saw in this video. But the point is that when people are indifferent and apathetic and pretend like things don't matter, okay? Laws matter. Leadership matters, right? The great leadership guru John Maxwell says, you know, every organization, success or failure hinges upon leadership. Maybe I messed up the quote. Nevertheless, leadership matters. Laws matter. Legislation matter. And I think, unfortunately, what happens with people in America sometimes are so spoiled and so entitled and so used to this high level of quality of life, even though most people I know just merely saying that would argue with me. I've traveled every corner of this nation, okay? People in America live a high standard of living, even black people. But we're so accustomed to it that now we think we are entitled to it even more. And some people have the delusion where they don't care anything about politics. And one, they think politics is divorced from culture, and that's divorced from the life you live. All of these things are different degrees of one whole, right? That's what it says, e pluribus unum, from one many. Okay, we're one nation, and all of these things matter at different levels and degrees. And you can't just be indifferent, and you can't just ignore them and pretend like it doesn't matter, right? But this is what people do. And then when you start to talk about, you know, how things work, they'll throw the phrase, "Oh, that's just politics," as though it's merely a cliche. But as you can see from the legislation of Gavin Newsom, where they're asking him to amend or, you know, change the law, because by lifting this loitering law, now you've emboldened the professional commercial 304s, and you see the video. They're out in the streets. It's like a 304 apocalypse down there. I'm not making this video to disparage the people. They disparage themselves. I'm making this video because you can't be indifferent to politics. You can't be indifferent to understanding how things work. That doesn't mean that the politicians are saints, but somebody got to do the job. If somebody's not doing the job, the whole situation is going to fall apart. And I'm pretty sure that what we have now is far better than a civil war or, you know, the Walking Dead scenario where the whole civilization has failed. Nobody wants that, right? Except lunatics. You have people who think that's what they want. I was arguing with a family member about, you know, politics and which philosophy and ideology, you know, would best serve getting positive outcomes. And when I'm not gonna say backed in the corner, but when I really press the issue, like what are we really doing and why, you know, all my man could say to me was, "Oh, well, just tear it all down." Because when I'm asking, well, what do we have to do to get the kind of results? Blah blah blah. He's like, "Oh, we'll just tear everything down," and it's always the same thing. And I see this pattern across many people. It's not just one person, right? It's you see the patterns, and even though we all think we're unique, we're really not. We're more alike and part of one another than we like to give credit. But I see that when people don't care to know and care to evaluate and care to analyze with a genuine, mature concern to gain understanding of things, they want to just be right just because it makes them feel good to have somebody to hate. I'm not saying these things about liberals or the people infected with the left. I don't hate nobody. I don't hate in them. I look at it as certain philosophies they may be well intended, but that does not mean they're going to have a constructive outcome. Also, sometimes you have to make decisions that may not be pretty. It may not make you feel good inside, but it may be the thing you have to do. In one of the holy books, it says, and don't let the sympathy of your heart stop you from conducting the laws of the Most High, the laws of God, when administering the punishment. It was a verse talking about capital punishment, or punishing the criminal, right? And it says, don't let the sympathy of your heart stop you from carrying out the punishment that you have to do. Why? Because when you allow your feelings to override justice, to override pragmatism, to override doing the right thing, then you now are going to undermine the whole entire system. So when you let your sympathies be more than doing the right thing, you undermine everybody's situation. And you saw the man in the video that said, now with this type of condition, businesses are not going to want to move into the area. And this is like, a lot of people make the misconception and they think that poverty causes crime. It's the other way around. Crime causes poverty. It's nothing about being poor that makes it okay in your mind and in your emotions to think, oh, well, because I'm poor, I shouldn't have no problem taking the life of my neighbor. I should have no problem stealing the property of my neighbor. No, that doesn't come from poverty. That comes from an impoverished culture, an impoverished mindset, not living up to the nobility that being a human, God's agent on the earth, would necessitate. But that's a whole deeper topic. Nevertheless, it's the other way around. Okay, the crime causes the poverty because when you have a community where the people don't function in a way that will make it profitable to put a business in that place. That's what the real problem. That's where the problem lies. When you can't get reliable employees, and when you can't conduct business without paying a whole bunch of money for shoplifting and for broken glasses. And look, what about the story where they had to shut down a few Starbucks locations in Southern California because of the vagrants, because of the unhoused people, right? The people doing probably doing drugs in the bathroom and just hanging out and not allowing the business to operate, normally. They had to close shop. So these things matter. You can't just be indifferent and act like, the lifestyle that we're accustomed to just creates itself in a vacuum, or rather that it exists in a vacuum and that nothing, can be affected by certain choices and decisions. These things don't just happen automatically. We have to do things to make them happen, to encourage them, to influence a society and an economy that's working well. And we have to do things to influence keeping away certain bad and negative situations. And people don't like that because you don't want to hold nobody accountable. You saw the ladies in the video. Nobody wants to say, okay, but how did they come to be that? You saw the lady projected and was like, these human trafficked people. No, these people are not, they weren't somewhere in line studying to become nurses and got kidnapped by pimps. That's not how it happened. No disrespect to them. They're still human beings. But somewhere, somehow, culturally, and in the communities where people come from, there's a breakdown. Now, you're not going to always stop. You're not going to catch everybody, but you want to mitigate the people who fall through the cracks and turn to that lifestyle. You want to mitigate it. You're always going to have some that's going to fall through, but you want to have a community. You want to have a culture. You want to have a society that mitigates the avenues to that type of behavior, right? And then you don't want the opposite, where it just becomes rampant, and make excuses for it. Because when you make excuses, it's just going to grow, as we can see the results in the video. So I just wanted to share that, because laws matter, rules matter, maturity matters. Justice, everything matters. You can't just be indifferent and act like nothing makes sense. So that being said, I appreciate whoever made it this far. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like. Give me some engagement. I'll see y'all in the next video.